Well, hello, my friend, and welcome back to another episode of Legacy Farming, the podcast. This is your host, JC Young, and today's topic of discussion is this: banks and risk. So, guys, today what I want to talk about is honestly, to me, it's a very serious issue. And you've heard me talk about this briefly on other podcasts, and I've mentioned it in other videos and stuff that I've done. But it's been coming up a lot here lately inside of our network and inside of our community boardroom calls with all the members inside the Legacy Farmer. So I thought it'd be valuable to actually bring this topic up and talk about it again right now. So I'm going to be very straight and direct with you inside of this conversation because of the importance that it has for you and your operation and the future of your business and just every angle of the business. So guys, here it is, straight to the point with this one. You have to, as a farmer, know how the banks operate. Okay, now what do I mean by that? Guys, you have to understand how the banks play the game of business. You have to understand how their profit margin works, how they structure loans, what type of questions they're looking for, what type of answers they're looking for, how they're making financial decisions on your loans, how they're determining what type of credit you are, how they're determining what type of service you get. There's all these variables that happen inside of the bank that ultimately determine the overall outcome over, the success or non-success of your farm operation. Okay, guys, and a lot of family farms today, I would say about 99% of them, because we've had more than 300 members come to Legacy Farmer, and not one coming in has understood how the banks operate and how they make decisions and how they play this game of business. And guys, I'm just going to tell you, as an ag business owner, when you have, millions of dollars in loans at the bank, or you have an operating line of credit at the bank, you are, by not knowing how the banks operate and how they work and how that business model works, you're literally fighting, you're in a game literally with like one arm tied behind your back, maybe both arms tied behind your back, because when you don't know these answers, guys, you don't know what questions to ask. A lot of them, when people come into Legacy Farmer, they're getting a terrible deal from their banker, and they have been for decades, and they don't even know it. And it's not necessarily, I say banker, I mean bank, right? It's not the individual bankers. I talk about bankers a lot. Majority of them are really good people, and they're trying to do the right thing. But at the end of the day, they're an employee of the bank. Their business mindset really turns off at 5 o'clock. They go start focusing on their family and stuff like that. Doesn't make them bad people, just means that they're in a different part of the game than we're in, right? They're not seeing things through our eyes. As business owners, you don't really turn it off, and it's really difficult to. And I haven't conquered that yet. So if you have, then reach out to me and let me know how you did it. But as a business owner, I'm always thinking about business. I'm always thinking about, my team and our customers and where we're going and what we're doing. And I imagine it's the same thing for you as well. It's just you're thinking about your farm operation or your cattle or whatever it may be. And so, guys, one of the biggest problems with this, though, is that if you don't know how the banks operate, like I said earlier, a lot of our members have gotten taken advantage of. And it's not because the bank was trying to do it purposely. It's just because they didn't know what questions to ask, and they allowed the bank to do this. Okay. This is a massive problem. And again, it impacts every area of your business because just a perfect example, if your loans are not structured correctly, then that gives the bank the ability to put unwanted or basically unearned pressure on you, right? There's times in your farming career where you get into a position where the bank's just like calling you all the time, and they're like putting their thumb on you because your working capital could be negative or things could be pretty tight. Well, they don't actually know if it's tight, and you don't know if it's tight either because you don't actually know what numbers they're looking at. So now you're getting all this pressure from the bank, and you're like, what the hell, Mr. Banker? Why are you even doing this to me? Our members don't have that. The reason is because I show our members exactly what numbers the banks need to know about, and I actively help them monitor their position, their financial position, and their leverage position with the bank throughout the year. Now, the stuff that we're teaching them inside of there, which is called Farmer Metrics, and they're utilizing our software and everything, I haven't found anywhere else where this exists in the industry. And again, guys, the thing that pisses me off about banks the most is for a lot of you guys, you're spending minimum of 20 grand in interest with them, right? I have some members that are spending 300 grand a year in interest with the banks. Okay. And this is a problem because if I am sitting there and I'm paying somebody that much in interest, and all you're paying them for is access to capital, right? But still, again, if I'm paying them that much money, why should they not be sitting you down, explaining to you exactly what numbers they're looking at, what they use to make decisions, and how you can position your farm operation and just your business overall to put you in the best possible position with them to get the best interest rates, to get the best loan structures, to get the best service, to just get things done quickly and efficiently and not have to stress over walking into the bank or renewals or anything like that, because a lot of farmers, they hate walking into the bank because of that stuff. Well, and again, they hate walking into the bank because they feel 2 feet tall and they don't know what questions to ask. When the banker talks, they don't understand his lingo and even what he's saying. So guys, this is just a massive, massive issue. And I've had a lot of members come into Legacy Farmer, and learning how the banks operate was their specific reason for joining. Now they're getting in and they're getting everything else that we do as far as entity structure, business organization, team management, building the culture you want, tax planning, monthly bookkeeping, legacy and estate planning. Like, they're getting everything. But the primary reason is they want to know how the banks operate, because the bank is such an important part in your operation. And again, if you're not keeping track of this thing and understanding what they're doing and why they're making the decisions that they're making, you could be literally killing your operation from multiple different angles, to the amount of interest you're paying, to your cash flow, what your cash flow looks like from year to year. And your cash flow could be screwed just because the banks don't have your loan structured correctly. But how are you supposed to know this if you don't have anything to compare it to? That's what the benefit is of what we're doing in Legacy Farmer, is we have all this financial data from over 300 family farms from 25 different states across the country. So we know how banks should be structured. And then, I have my career that I spent as an ag banker, but I know how different banks are operating throughout the country because we have all of this financial data. And it's massively beneficial to every new member that's coming in, because one, we're teaching them exactly how the bank has structured them incorrectly, or where they need to renegotiate some interest rates, or where they can expose some leverage on the bank. But then they're seeing how other operations are structured as well. And that's what's so beneficial too, is on our community boardroom call just this past week, we pulled up 2 different sets of financials of members inside of Legacy Farmer. On the call, there was 50 people on there, and we're looking at their numbers live on the call. And everybody is learning from everybody else's situations and mistakes that are made, or maybe this bank is doing this and they shouldn't be doing that. Guys, a lot of success in businesses in learning what not to do and learning from other people's mistakes. And that's why it's so valuable. Those conversations, I love going over them because I know how valuable it is. And I'm in the same type of networks myself. Yes, I'm in a different type of industry with being an online business and consulting business a lot. But it's the same concept though. If I can get to look at other people's numbers that are in the same type of industry I'm in, man, that's massively valuable for me, because it shifts my perspective. It helps me make better decisions. It changes the decisions, and it helps keep me from making the mistakes that I could have made in the past, because I saw so-and-so already make that mistake. And now I'm going to remember that. So guys, I'm telling you this because the more people we bring in, I see the bigger and bigger impact, not knowing how the banks operate and how people are structured coming in, and just how it's taken a toll on their operation. And that's just on the business side. And then when we have problems on the business side, I see how it's impacting these guys and their families at home, right? And how they show up as husbands and fathers, and how they show up in their household, and just their attitude and their mental state and everything across the board, how they're taking care of their body and everything. When we don't have things on point inside a business, and we have holes and we don't fill them or take care of them, then we are putting ourselves into a position where we are just going to be really, really struggling in every other area of life. So my friends, I hope this conversation sparks you to take some action. I hope if you don't, if you want to join Legacy Farmer, great. Fill out the application, schedule a call with our team. We're going to make sure that we're fit for one another. But at the end of the day, go into your bank and start asking some questions. Ask the banker to sit down with you and explain to you exactly what numbers they look at, how they make decisions, and everything across the board. Because the cost of not doing this, my friend, could be the failure of your family farm operation. Okay, and that's the end result. But the pain to get there, and how you show up again as a business owner, how you're leading your team, how you show up as a husband, as a father, and to the things that really matter in your life, that's going to be the really painful stuff that you have to go through. And just by having these conversations and understanding and plugging the holes inside of your business, whether it's knowing how the bank operates, whether it's your team and your team management and day-to-day operations, maybe it's entity structure and design, maybe it's legacy and estate planning, wherever you have these holes in your operation, the longer you avoid plugging them and doing what is required to cover or to plug those holes and get them solved, the more painful life is going to become. And that's a guarantee. That is a guarantee. So my friend, I hope you found this conversation valuable, and hope it drives for you to take some action inside of your life and solve these problems. So that's all we got for you on this episode. We will catch you on the next one.